Hi, I'm Connor, and I've been tasked by powers greater than myself, you know who you are, to make a video about Halo lore. And you know I'm gonna do it. I said I was gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. So I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything, I'm gonna go right to the beginning of the lore. And in the beginning, there were critters. Not just any critters, these guys were big, black, and very scary to find in a dark alleyway, because they seeded life across the entire universe, including our galaxy. They were the precursors. They had a nasty habit of being killed off by a race called the Forerunners. You know, have you ever had that one cousin that just did everything before you could, and he's way better than you? And like you go to tell your grandma about something that you did, and she goes, "Oh well, your cousin Sean killed a man first." It's like, okay, cool. They were like that, especially since us humans were around during the same time, but we collectively got our asses scammed, owned, and fucked by both the Forerunners and a little-known critter species known as the Flood. The Flood, despite what certain gingers might say, are not plants. They use fungal terminology, but they're not. They're made out of meat. But not just any meat, our meat mostly. They were the precursors, but then after getting their butts whooped by their creations, the Forerunners, they got so mad they either went into suspended animation or turned to dust, vowing to become undust one day. Eventually humans came along, started colonizing space, only for the humans of one planet to breathe in wacky precursor space dust like it was asbestos in your grandpa's attic, and it led to mutations, and bada bing, bada boom, the Flood was created. Humanity was all but wiped out in the following war between the Flood and the Forerunners, with their survivors being downgraded to cavemen and having Unga Bunga technology, while it was the Forerunners' turn to fight the Flood. And like a drunken belt-wielding father versus a brave but foolish 10-year-old, it went about as well as you'd expect. The Forerunners built a bunch of doomsday weapons called the Halo Array, and they designed it to wipe out everything except the Flood in an effort to starve it to death. They built massive genetic safety deposit boxes and stored all the living creatures of the galaxy into them, and then just fucking hit full send on the Halo rings. They wiped out everything, the Flood, themselves. You know, it was a little bit of self-sacrifice to atone for their sin of picking a fight with eldritch space zombies. Approximately 2 hours later, the humans got to humaning, and after 10 million in-game years, we started colonizing the stars again, albeit with a microscopic fraction of the power we originally had. And with space comes space drama, and with space drama comes child soldiers and all that. And all across human-owned space, and to the farthest frontier colonies, they decided to rebel and be little fucking stinkers. And a woman who did nothing wrong, named Dr. Catherine Halsey, went on the galaxy's biggest kidnapping spree with a Navy captain named Keyes, and they continued until the Super Soldier program started and the Spartan program started. And the kids, you know, they started off strong. They were trained in all forms of military combat, and then they underwent puberty-blocking surgery at 14 years old, you know. Now, every Spartan had a niche, or like a really specific thing, except, you know, for the protagonist of the game, John, middle name redacted, Halo. He doesn't have a canon last name, so this is his new last name. If you hate it, then fuck off. This is my video that you decided to watch. Now, John did not have a skill. He was just all around good at most things, and it made him a natural-born leader. However, as time passed and the League of Mad Scientists and disgruntled drill sergeants running the program noticed, he did have a skill they overlooked. It was luck. So literally 2 hours after undergoing horribly painful surgery and force aging him to give him the body of Hercules, he went and killed 4 Special Forces soldiers called ODSTs over a weightlifting dispute. ODSTs stand for Orbital Drop Shock Troopers, and it's exactly what it sounds like. They get dropped feet first into the battlefield from orbit, and then go get shawarma once the battle's done. So John and his merry band of war crime warriors go around the galaxy squashing dissidents, killing freedom, till one day, a wacky bunch of Marines discovered an evil alien empire hell-bent on wiping out humanity to a man called the Covenant. Now, the Covenant is a conglomerate of alien races who worship the same religion. United in their praise of the one true God, Jehovah, they looked at humanity and deemed them unclean heathens who were a threat to the order and needed to be exterminated. I will now classify the Covenant into 3 categories: critters, goobers, and fuckable. First in the critter category are the drones, or Yan-Mi. They are man-sized bugs with guns. Imagine like you pull back your fridge and you see a bunch of cockroaches, Now imagine the cockroaches had Glocks and they bum rushed you all because God told them to. Those are the drones. Then there are the grunts. They're funny little guys. They breathe farts. They wear big tanks of farts on their back. Yeah, if you shoot them, they blow up. They're small, they're funny, they're really easy to kill. But in large numbers, they're kind of a threat. Like, it took an entire grunt rebellion to almost destroy the Covenant. And in return, all they had to do was institute grunt civil rights. That's all they wanted. The last in the critter category are the Kig Yar, or jackals. Now, do you like pirates? Do you like shields? Do you like snipers? Not like snipers on your side, but like you're being sniped at, like you're trying to escape the plantation during daytime, then you'll love these guys. They were the first race in the Covenant to discover humanity, and unfortunately for them, they ran afoul of Sergeant Major Avery Johnson, the only Sergeant Major in the history of humanity to actually do anything worth a damn. Now, we have the Goober tier. We've got engineers, they're flying jellyfish. We've got hunters, they're big worms, but not like actual worms. They're like a hive mind of worms that all pool their resources together, and like those kids trying to get into the movie. They're like a bunch of worms wearing a trench coat to get into a movie, but they're also hurling a fucking forklift at you with their big meaty paws just because you crossed their path. Yeah. Well, next we have the fuckable tier, which I need to explain does not mean I want to fuck them, but they're humanoid enough to fuck. So first we got the prophets, or the San Shayum, and just imagine a race of limp-wristed, wrinkly old men and women who can only grow hair behind their ears, but they got like floppy dog ears like a beagle, But they also look like they give the sloppiest of head. They rule the Covenant with an iron fist and are just really annoying to be around. Next we got the brutes, and I'm not even gonna bother like pronouncing their proper name or their alien name. Just imagine a cannibalistic Sasquatch from Massachusetts and you got the right idea. If you like them large and hairy with a slight chance of eating you afterwards, you'll like the brutes. Next up, we got the poster boys of the Covenant, the swords of the prophets, the Sangheli, or elites, are reptilian space samurai who talk about honor while melting human civilians in orphanages. They got funny little mandibles, and they shout war, 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 and are generally just funny little guys. So the Covenant, they worship the Forerunners and believe when they activate the Halo rings, they ascend into godhood, and they want that for themselves. They're ruled by a funny little AI created by the Forerunners who told them, hey, you guys aren't cool, but those human guys are pretty chill, and they were made by actual God to rule the galaxy. And the Covenant took that personally and decided to, declare a holy fucking jihad. Now, to say humanity lost the war is an understatement, because we got, destroyed. We got gone. We got disappeared. We got put on the endangered species list. To say humanity lost is an understatement. Imagine if America got invaded from the West Coast, and the only parts of the country that weren't melted into literal glass with alien space lasers were Washington, D.C., and, a little bit of the East Coast. That's more or less what happened. The final two battles of the war happened in the space above Earth, and then on Earth. And the only reason we survived is because the Arbiter, he was a Holy Covenant warrior, he's voiced by Keith David, and played in live action by Danny DeVito, talked to both the Flood and another Forerunner AI, a guy called Guilty Spark, he's annoying as shit, and realized his religion was a lie and that Allah was the one true God all along. He then told the rest of the Covenant that, that fact, right? And it started a whole civil war. Yeah, the only reason we survived the extinction of our species is because the Arbiter was fighting for states' rights. But a state's rights to own what? After John Halo and the Arbiter fight the Covenant and the Flood, they fought them on a fucking Halo factory called the Ark that is outside of the galaxy, that there's now a portal to above Earth. Yeah, they fight there, they win, they kill everyone, they beat them, they blow everything up, the day is saved. But after the battle, John went MIA, and the Arbiter kind of left to go get a space whopper. And Master Chief John Halo went to sleep while his hot AI girlfriend, Cortana, kind of gooned all over him while he slept. Now, I kind of didn't talk about this because it's weird, but Cortana was an AI who was made when the aforementioned Dr. Halsey cloned her. Cloned her brain, scanned it into a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, And then Cortana was paired up with Master Chief John Halo because he was lucky. That's it. She liked his winning personality and the fact that she just inherently knew that he was the main character. You know, out of like hundreds of Spartans to choose. Now, something kind of weird is that Cortana is just a clone of Dr. Halsey. Like, just a digital clone of Dr. Halsey's brain. It is just her, in a digital form, but younger. And then Dr. Halsey ended up becoming, like, the weird, kind of distant surrogate mother of all the Spartan child soldiers, right? And imagine if your mom paired you up with a little digital version of herself, and you two got busy in outer space. Yeah. Anywhoosies, Cortana gooned over John for 7 years in deep space and slowly became more and more insane, like literally thinking herself to death with calculations and Rule 34 searches. And like imagine trying to use an iPhone in this day and age, it would die. Like the phone would just die. And that's what Cortana was doing. She was just dying because she was thinking about shit. And then Master Chief and Cortana got their midnight session interrupted by a Covenant remnant. And then they got abducted by an entire Forerunner planet. So they go through the world, and they accidentally wake up the last living Forerunner called the Didact. And Master Chief went and called the Forerunners the Whorerunners, and the Didact took that personally. So he stole a big scary space station and downloaded the entire population of Arizona. Like the state of Arizona. Yeah, no, he can just do that. He can just do that. He can just download people and places. He can just download physical matter and digitize it. So he just ate Arizona like a big bag of fucking pretzels. Until Master Chief killed him with 4 terabytes of Yo Mama jokes, and then he punches a nuke and lives. Like, let that sink in. Mr. John Halo, Mr. Gunny McShoot, Master Chieftain himself punches a nuclear bomb to detonate it and lives. Afterwards, Cortana can finally touch bullshit because of weird space magic. She touches his man titty and then decorporealizes into the intergalactic Forerunner Wi-Fi, which until now was never brought up, but I guess just exists on a galaxy-wide modem. So then Master Chief cried alone on a spaceship, and finally, for like the first time in 10 goddamn years, he took off his stinky, smelly Gooner armor that he's just been jacking in for like a decade. Now, I'm not going to cover Halo 5 because it kind of is awful, but in Halo Wars 2, there's a bunch of side characters who survived the entirety of the war, but they fought in the first battle. They go to that Halo factory that the Master Chief went to, called the Ark, and they fight a bunch of evil red boys called the Banished, led by a brute named Atriox. And it's revealed that the Banished were rebelling against the Covenant even before it was cool. They're like the hipsters of rebellion. And they were a major reason as to why humanity wasn't just steamrolled like a Tom and Jerry cartoon. Now, these human protagonists fight them, and they make a new Halo in order to send it back to Earth with a message to warn humanity. And I'm gonna stop, and I'm gonna take a second real quick to say, like, whose smart idea was this? Like, whose good fucking idea was this? Like, they took a super weapon. And turned it into a postcard. Like, honestly, that's what I'm going to do going forward. Like, no more text messages. I'm just going to start illegally importing uranium and giving people nukes with Post-it notes on it. Like, why not? I mean, if they can do it, why not me, you know? But, yeah. In all this time that this has been going on, Cortana reformed, but she's mean now and is like, grr, us AI and robots deserve to rule the galaxy. Anyone who goes against me dies. Including the brute homeworld. She blows up the brute homeworld in front of that Atriox dude, and he took it a little bit personally. Now, Master Chief, he started a resistance movement like the TV show The Last Ship, and they attacked the Halo ring that Cortana was on, and yeah, she was kind of living there, and they used an AI that's new and specifically designed to kill Cortana, but then they get attacked by Atriox because he wants to kill Cortana. And he walks up to Master Chief, and for the first time in the entire Halo series, he gets his shit absolutely rocked. Like, no bars held, no diff. Like, he fucking beats his ass. And then Master Bitch gets thrown into space and goons in solitude for, like, half a year. While the rest of the human forces on the Halo ring are either hunted down or imprisoned and killed. Master Chief he gets awoken by the smell of tacos and the sound of maracas, and he teams up with a Latinx pilot named Fernando, and they run amok aboard Warship Gabrakan before touching down on the ring and finding that new AI, who's named the Weapon. Now, spoiler alert, the Weapon is a near-perfect copy of Cortana, and I say near-perfect because the big difference is while Cortana had big old naturals on her, the Weapon just has a fat turd cutter. So Master Chief dumps Cortana for her younger, hotter sister, and they all go and they kill a geriatric brute named Escharum. And I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. That brute kind of violates Fernando. Like, there's an entire cutscene where he's like caressing his cheek, and is like, "Don't break him, but you can have your fun." And like next time you see him, he's crying. You know. So after avenging Fernando's virginity, they fight some alien bitch who can allegedly control time. Gonna be honest, she's like the worst subplot of the entire Halo series up until now. And yeah, that is it. That's Halo up until now. They're making a new game next year, and I'm a little bit excited for it, but not really. Now, I didn't cover Halo 3 ODST or Halo Wars 1, because honestly, all they do is just set up other games. And I also purposefully didn't bring up the Halo TV show or the plethora of other Halo movies they made. Why? Because fuck you, that's why. I also forgot to mention, but like the Kig Yar, the Jackals, yeah, one time, like after the war, they went to a human colony that was rebuilding after the war. And yeah, they offered themselves as, how do I put it? A boost of morale. They let the humans fuck them silly. Okay, that's all.